And then it takes a second. And here we are live on YouTube. Hello, everyone. I am so amazingly excited that I can't even speak proper English anymore. To have the amazing SG Blaise with me today, author of the Last Lumenian Saga, that has multiple novels out already, that has a comic book in the same universe, that has audiobooks for the novels. She is a huge supporter of the arts, of writers, and most of all, she is an amazing, kind person that I'm so excited just to talk to today. SG, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the channel.
Josephine, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So we are going to talk about your book series, The Last Lumenian Saga. I have all the 5 books that are currently out presented nicely here. Also because I love the covers. Like I just have to, it's eye candy here. They're gorgeous. I could look at them all day. Why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about your series, spoiler free, in case someone hasn't read it yet. What is your series about?
Absolutely, Josephine. My series is about, I always call it Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings meets Princess Bride. And it's PG-13, clean language, kissing only, no chili peppers here. It
Which I
follows
appreciate.
a 19-year-old rebel princess, right? It's upfront. It follows a 19-year-old rebel princess who must defeat the Dark God before he finds her, the Last Lumenian. And that's just book 1 out of a 13-book series, with book 6 coming out this December or next January. We'll see. We like to keep our readers and fans on their toes.
Great. The good thing is I have read book 1 till 4 so far, so I have a little bit time. Well, I mean, April to December. That's quite a long time that I have to wait for book 6. Darn it! So
I wish I could write faster.
No, please take all your time, all the time you need. You know how fans are, right? They want everything immediately and want to continue reading the amazing story. It's just you need to take your time. It's all good. You just mentioned 13-book series. So what is your plan for your whole universe? I believe there's even more than quote unquote just the 13-book series, right? You have a huge plan for the 7 galaxies.
That's correct, Josephine. My plan for the whole series, I'm already putting little Easter eggs and little hints for the upcoming next 9-book series and the follow-up 7-book series. I can't tell you the titles just yet, but they're going to be very excited, and you get to see little clues already in the first 5 or 6 books.
Awesome. Okay, now I need to think about what those clues could be. Anyway, I'll do that on my own time. So, your books, one of the things that I find very fascinating is they are incredibly imaginative. So you have a lot of characters that you don't see in typical sci-fi fantasy, like your horse companion has fangs and claws. You have magicians, I believe, with 6 arms, right? It's her magic trainer that has 6 arms. You have people from 7 galaxies, right? You have people from all the 7 galaxies. They come all with unique traits, and it's also not a very small cast. You have a lot of amazing people in this series. So where did you come up with all of this? What is your inspiration for the individual characters, for the world, everything?
It's a very complicated and complex question, Josephine. I came up with the story idea back in 2012 when I was on a cross-country road trip with my family. And I woke up in Austria with jet lag. And I had this dream fragment that I had to write it down. And it became book 1, book 2, book 3. And it was so fascinating that was the start of the 13 book series. And the characters, they organically come together. I call this the fellowship of Lila, the main hero. And I love that it's found family and they band together and they all have their own goals and dreams. Sometimes they help Lila, sometimes they hinder her, but they
No
all
kidding.
great cast to follow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more coming your way in book 6, I can tell you that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What I also love is the first 3 books are all following Lila as the main character. But in book 4, you're introducing Glenna, her friend. You meet her friend already in book 1, so this is not a spoiler. So I love that you're also showing the story from other people's perspective as well. Is that also a plan going forward in the series to get views from other characters throughout the series?
That's true, Josephine. I love showing the other characters as main heroes of the books because these are characters you get to learn about and you love them. You want to know who they truly are, and there's not a lot of space when our main hero has to shine. She's in the spotlight. So to give some of these characters a bit more stage, so to speak, I chose a couple to be the main hero of book 4. There's another one for book 6. I believe book 8. And then we'll see the rest. I'm always planning the series, and it's organic evolving,
Yeah.
even though I know what I'd like to end up. But I know that book 6 and book 8 are going to be with different heroes. I can tell you
Nice.
that.
So it sounds like you already have a pretty good plan for your 13 book series. By the way, I want to mention on the side,
Just a little.
you know, fantasy readers, when they hear long series, because fantasy books sometimes tend to be like 1,000-page chunkers, yours are a lot more manageable. So 13 books is actually a really nice size for your series, just as a side note for anyone listening. So it's not going to be 13,000, pages, at least not for now. Who
No.
knows?
The notes are 13,000 pages, but that's okay. You don't have to see everything. I wrote down with the structural notes and the world building notes. Maybe one day we get to do something fun with these tomes of notes that just creates the context and the foundation of the series, because I get to show a little bit in the book. So maybe one day it becomes something else. Who's to say?
Oh my goodness. Hello, just saying hi real quick. Awesome. We are good. We are talking, as you just said yourself, we are talking fantasy. So we are always good when we can do that. So you said your 13 book series, it's already, you have a structure in place, you have an idea where you want your characters to go. So while you've been writing the first 5 books, how much did your characters behave? Or did they go rogue at one point? Like, how much did they stick to the plan versus not?
My characters are very well behaved, Josephine. They're
Good.
they're a good gang. And I like that they're giving me a lot of ideas, a lot of passion. They're passionate about a lot of things. It's the opponents that tend to be frisky, and they try to go against the plan. They have a bigger plans, so I have to pull them back in. It's a lot of fun to put together these heroes, these allies against the opponents, and see how they solve the challenges, how they grow, how they learn more about who they are, and how they act as a group together. It's been a lot of fun following them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And it's also interesting to see. I know you said at the beginning PG-13. That doesn't mean the characters don't have a tough time at times, right? So you throw them through a lot already in the first book, and there's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things that they have to go through. So yeah, I'm I'm excited to see where this is going, but boy, is that a roller coaster ride in your story.
Thank you. It's been a roller coaster ride just to get to here, Josephine, if you don't mind me segue into that.
Yes, please.
I never thought I'm going to write in English. I was born and raised in a land of castles, monarchies and fallen dictatorships, also known as Hungary. So I thought, being born there, I'm going to live there and write books in Hungarian. Little did I know that I will end up in America, Massachusetts specifically, in 2001.
Oh, wow.
And I had to realize real quick, that I did not speak a word in English. And that was a shock. I had 12 years of schooling in English, but it was always passive. It was always grammar, vocabulary. We never really activated that knowledge by speaking it. So when I came here, I had hard time understanding the spoken English, and I had even harder time responding. So I had to take about 10 years to become fluent in English before I was ready to embark on my writing journey that I thought was over.
Yeah.
And then to fast forward 2012, and I have the dream, which seems to be a very main motive in my life. The first dream I had where I took control of it was when I was 9. And that was the first dream I wrote down. It was I read it in school, and that was my first escapade in writing literary fiction or horror.
Yeah.
And it was so fascinating that I got hooked on storytelling. So it was quite a big journey from age 9 to 2012. I'm not going to do the math. Please, you do the math. and start actually living that dream of being a writer.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been basically, it sounds like, born a writer. You discovered that pretty early in your life, that that is something that you just want to do. How did you approach that? Once you started at 9 years writing, what did you do to continue? Did you do take any courses, or yeah, how did you then hone in your craft and become better and become the writer that you are today, the author, the published award-winning, may I say, author that you are today?
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words, Josephine. The journey to be a writer was not a very straightforward from A to B and a smooth path.
Mhm.
When I realized that I wanted to be a writer at age 9, I also realized that first I have to finish school. So I had to come up with a long-term and short-term plan that would allow me to first get a job that would support my writing habit. That
Mhm.
meant I had to get into a good college, which, breaking it down to, meant I had to get into a high school. We have entrance exam at the time we had, so
Mhm.
that it wasn't just you go to high school, you had to do an exam and then you either meet the expectations or not. And then I broke it down to short-term goals, which was to go to school every day, do the homework, do the tests, and get good grades. And
Yep.
that was my plan, to do this, get a job, and have something that supports, so I can write, after I've done with working. And then I met my husband in 99
Mhm.
online. And
Mhm.
again, that was a big wrench thrown into my perfectly laid out, planned out life, because I didn't realize that he's going to take me from Hungary and bring me to Massachusetts. So imagine that.
Yes, and then ultimately to California, where you are now, I believe, right?
That's true. Yeah, after
Yep.
5 years, we lived in Massachusetts for 5 years, and his job kept taking him to California. So we packed everything up and we moved to California in 2008
Yeah.
at the very famous real estate crash,
Mhm.
which was a fun time for us. Horrible time. I'm not even going to make a joke because it was truly horrible. And just started over again, going from a place where we just made friends, just started to have your own community, to
Yeah.
move to a different state. I knew nobody. It took a long time to get the courage of starting to make friends again. And it was very interesting how many times I had to start over from almost blank page in real life and in writing the book series. I don't know if you know this, the first book was a good 5 or 6 rewrites from
Okay.
page one,
Yeah.
pages, averaging 500 pages to get that first story logged in, polished, and ready to go.
Oh, wow. So did you then was that yourself? Like, was it you that said, "No, I want to tweak it a little bit more, I want to work it a little bit more"? Or did you work with family, friends, editors that said, "Hey, this is great, but let's try something different with it"? Like, how did you approach that?
Mhm. It was a tough decision to make because I had mentors, I had writing coaches, and they kept telling me this is good to go at second and third version. And I just felt it in my heart that it's not the story I wanted to present to you.
Yeah.
So I kept going back to the drawing board and kept working on it and kept searching for how can I tell this story in such a powerful way that you can't put it down. My son, who was 8 at the time, couldn't put it down, who really didn't like reading, by the way. So it was one of my secret goals to write a book series that he won't be able to put down. And he read every book so far. We have about 50-50 ratio of winning here and getting him to read it. It's still more than nothing. I'll take it.
Yes. Yes.
And it's been an interesting process because that's the hardest question you have to answer. When is your book ready? And often you know the answer when there is nothing more physically you can do that to make that story better. And that's when you go to the editor.
Yep.
And they're
Awesome.
going to help a lot. And that's a whole different process when you edit and get that story ready. I was fortunate enough we didn't have to go through developmental edit. The story was in a good shape, structurally speaking.
Mhm.
It needed about, I want to say, 2 or 3 rounds of line editing to make
Okay.
sure that there were no plot gaps, the cause and effect was smooth,
Yeah.
and consistency was checked. And before it was ready to go to copy editing, which is the last step before the book is published.
Yeah. And then, your book is self-published or small press published. I'm not sure what the right term is here, but it's not trade published. Um,
Right.
was that a conscious decision you made, or was that something that you just ended up doing because that's how it worked out? What was your journey there?
Hmm. Josephine, I did a lot of research about what publishing path I should pick.
Mhm.
And that talk about a tongue twister. That's like say 10 times in a row, right? And there was the at the time and the self-published, or
Mhm.
right now it's called indie published. And there's a hybrid in the middle too. And I looked at what's the pros and cons of each of these paths. And to me, being an indie published, a self-published author was the most beneficial for many reasons. Not just creative control, but also I'm managing the timeline of the book series. And
Mhm.
I'm not getting younger here. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm not 46, but I'm not getting any younger here. So I wanted to make sure that after all that work put in, that that was also something I had control over.
Yeah. To be very honest, I'm a huge fan of indie published books because I also believe indie authors or self-published authors have a lot more freedom on how they want to tell their story, whereas trade published, not all the time, but often has to go towards what the market wants, right? What currently the big trend is. As an indie publisher, you don't have to do that. So as a reader, I feel I get more out of the story just because of that, because I can actually read the story that the author meant to tell, not that the market demanded and that they had to adjust to it. So I'm glad you went down that
That's
road.
powerful. Oh, thank you, Josephine. And that's a powerful point that you made there, because what does right to the market mean? Market is not a person. It's not someone that you can imagine. It's many, many, many people. So one of the best advice I've received and I've been seeing on popping up online is that to write either to an imaginary person or write to yourself. Because when you know who you are and you write to entertain yourself, there will be others who
Yes.
similar like you. They have the same taste, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
Princess Bride. So you're going to have this immediate common ground with the genre, with these familiar, IPs, and then the story will hook them. And
Yeah.
isn't that beautiful, as
Yes.
opposed to trying to write your faceless, nameless market?
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, indie authors, because they have no limits. That exactly. They can do what they want.
Within our limit.
Yes, I mean, the book has to sell at the end of the day still, but yes. Um, that is also something that I find very fascinating about your journey. Typically, when I read from indie authors or when I hear from indie authors, right, when it pops up on my feed wherever, they are usually very active online. So it's active in the booktube community or active on Instagram, or I see them from other booktubers that they recommend them. You, I have discovered, and I believe it was LA Comic Con 2022 is when I saw your book for the very first time. And it's my husband and I were there. It was like a last minute decision that we went down there. It was Sunday, last day towards the end. And we were kind of already shut down. It's like, okay, let's look at the last corner here and then we go home. You had a booth like somewhere really far in the corner. Um, and I remember passing your booth, and you had like a spinny wheel giveaway thing, and you're like, "Hey, do you want to spin the wheel?" I was like, "Sure, I'll do that before we leave here. I'll do that." And I won. It was a sticker of Farragus, the horse, that I thought was really cool. And then you gave me your book, and I was like, "Here's a book." I was like, "What?" And for sign up for the newsletter. So and I took the book home, and I remember loving the cover. I said that before. I'm a huge fan of your cover artist and of your cover art, and with that obviously of the cover artist. And then I read the beginning of it immediately, and I was like, okay, this requires my full brain power. I need to put it aside for the right moment, because that is something that I'm going to enjoy, and I don't want to read it like when I'm not in the right mood for it, which was then 2 years later. Unfortunately, it took me way too long to read it. But since then,
Completely understand.
things happen. But since then, I've been binge reading it. So as I said, I just finished book 4 recently, so I'm in the middle. I'm going to start book 5 very soon. Long story short, you sell at ComicCons. So LA Comic Con is just one of them. And back then it was a smaller booth. I mean, it was still a big booth, but it was a smaller booth compared to now. Over the years, you've done some really incredible things at those cons. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Josephine, attending these cons are so magical and so amazing. It's something that I was hoping to do back in 2014 when I started, 2013 when I started, put pen to paper, and didn't know how it's going to happen, but I knew I really had to be at Comic Con. I didn't know there are more than just one Comic Con. There was the LA Comic Con. And I was so grateful when we got a booth there. We created these banners. I had a tablecloth. And then as I'm putting the banners together, 2 days later, I realized they make no sense whatsoever. Because there is we never put it, we never staged it. So they're individually beautiful, but putting it next together, you're like, what's the theme here? There were no theme. It were just a bunch of 6 beautiful banners that we loved, and we just put it next to each other and we're hoping for the best, and literally did not realize it didn't work until Sunday or Saturday afternoon. And I got such an amazing excitement and fuel and inspiration from being there, able to talk to everyone who stopped by. As you said, we had the little spin the wheel. And even when we had nothing left, people were still spinning the wheel. And we're like, go for it. If you'd like to spin the wheel, we're here for you. And that's when I realized, seriously, that's when I realized, Josephine, that one of the most important part of me being an author is to bring joy and happiness to everyone who stops by, who reads the book, or even if they don't read the book, just come to my booth. And I love the fact that when they come, they're amazed, they have questions. What is this? And as we talk to them, they're laughing at the jokes, and then they leave with a big smile on their face. And it's such an amazing feeling. I'm so grateful that I have the ability to do this. And I always wanted to create immersive booths. So we did the spaceship. That first went to Una, then it went to, I believe, the Aldrian, the Catal planet,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of fun to showcase the world building and the vastness of the world building, that everyone can immerse themselves, find something that they can enjoy, and just have fun. That's the whole point I'm doing this, is to entertain you and feed your soul, bring you joy, especially these days when we really need some joy and escape from real life.
Yeah. And it's not just so we talk immersive experiences, it's not just that you rebuilt a spaceship at a con. You had cosplayers. You still have, right? I believe at WonderCon, you still had cosplayers that are reenacting scenes of your book. What?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's incredible.
I did the same thing. I couldn't believe that that's something that's possible to be done. And when I went to read and critique, and I was in the process of writing my book, Josephine, it felt like I was in this dark tunnel and I didn't know what it's going to end, because I had no idea it's going to take 6 or 7 years. 6 years to write it, and another year to put together the website and publish it.
Mhm.
So I always had this feeling of, I don't know when I'm going to be done. And I kept imagining that I'm not alone. I have my character sitting behind me when I was driving alone to the read and critique, and it was very scary experience. It was dark. I don't like driving, especially not in the dark with these glasses.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. So that was my big encouragement, big help, to have these characters behind me. So when we realized that we have these amazing character actors, who Genevieve, Alex, Jordan, I forgot the last names. Please don't judge. I'm happy to remember first names. Big shout out to them, and of course Dustin. We and JP. Oh my gosh, amazing crew. And so I look behind me, Josephine, and suddenly I have these four character actors standing behind me, my main
Yeah.
characters. I burst into tears,
I can
because
imagine.
somehow what I imagined became real life. And every time I see them there, and they're so committed, and they want to be in character, they know how to act, they know who these characters are inside and out, that it's truly magical. They bring this extra level
Yeah.
to everyone who stops by, and the kids love it. Oh my gosh, the kids absolutely love talking to these amazing and very talented character actors. It's surreal. I'm still pinching myself.
Well, it's also impressive. Like, I've never seen anything like that. So, because I started following you due to you handing me the book at that point, right? So if anyone is interested, check out her Instagram. Actually, let me post the Instagram link here real quick.
Thank you.
SG is sharing all of her I just posted right here.
Thank you.
I'm right back. I'm sorry. I went backwards in my browser. I don't know what.
It happens. Could be worse. I had a lady who unplugged her computer 10 minutes before the interview was ending. This
That's
happened.
not going to happen
Ooh,
here. Nope, nope,
knock on
nope.
wood, knock on wood. I'm knocking it too.
But on your Instagram, every time you're at a con, you're sharing pictures of your booth, you're sharing all the amazing costumes that everybody comes up with, and of course also your own. I call them your own actors right now, because essentially that's what they are now, right?
They're amazing.
And it just looks amazing. So go
Thank
check that out. It's incredible. It's so different. Yeah, as I said, I've never seen anything like that.
you. Oh, thank
So what cons can people find you? What cons are the ones that you typically exhibit?
you. Usually it's WonderCon, San
Mhm,
Diego Comic Con. Here's to hope we get a space. And then the end of the year, we have a few options. We either go to LA Comic Con. This year, we're not doing
mhm.
LA Comic Con. We're thinking about it, but it would be tight. We're going to go to New York Comic Con to branch
Ooh,
out a little bit. And we also visited Dragonsteel. So we're trying to see where we can drive to or fly, and it's not too far. And
yeah.
if we can bring the Last Lumenian Saga to everyone else. and we keep trying every year a new location, maybe even a new country. Last year we went to an amazing convention called For the Love of Fantasy in Liverpool, I think, somewhere in England.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm terrible with names, especially when it comes to cities. At least I remember this is somewhere in England.
Well, that's good. From here, that is all about the same distance, right? So all
Right.
good. So and what has been your favorite so far?
Oh my
Which
gosh,
one?
it's hard to choose a favorite convention or Comic Con because they all have different energy. We even did Fan Fusion in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to go back,
Awesome.
and every one of these events have a different atmosphere. It's always positive. It's always very energizing. For example, WonderCon tends to be more character actors and cosplays. Fan Fusion, you get all kinds of amazing audience readers, fans of reading, fans of movies. We also go to the LA Book Festival where you get a lot of readers. They may not be the fans of the sci-fi fantasy genre, but they still love reading, and they're
Yeah.
very open to hear us, talking about the books and sign up for the newsletter and get that first book. So it's always surprising and wonderful to meet anyone who stops by and see what got their interest and what would they like to know.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, we talked a lot about costumes,
Hmm.
cosplayers,
Hmm.
your writing experience. You are also a supporter of the arts to sum it all up. You're doing panels on writing. I believe you did like a webinar online live series where you talked about writing and shared tips on writing. And you sponsored at WonderCon the costume festival, right? The cosplay award, I
Cosplay.
believe.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. What you're
That
doing there.
was, thank you, Josephine. That was an amazing opportunity. The second time we did it 2 years back to back, and it's an amazing opportunity to provide, sponsoring this event because it's all about these very talented, amazing cosplayers, costume designers who make their own costumes, and they as young as sometimes as 13, all the way till someone who have a whole group and team around them, and to see these amazing talented artists to live their dream
Yeah,
and follow their passion, it's such an honor and a pleasure. And to have Ashley Eckstein twice in a row now to host, and she does such a great job to get the crowd happy and riled up, and everyone gets their time in the spotlight, and it's so amazing. I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity.
awesome. Well, in the name of all the cosplayers out there, it's amazing that you're doing that because I know it's not an easy hobby to have, especially when you're trying to make it also your job partially.
Mhm.
It's incredibly tough. And you said it, all the time that goes into the costumes, the detail that they're putting in, I'm always amazed. I don't have the patience to put something together, but I love looking at it and I love looking at these details. And I'm
Mhm.
always amazed to see that, especially at like WonderCon or any of those Comic Cons. So that is amazing.
Absolutely. And the best part, Josephine, is, when we talk about costumes, and I have this amazing costume designer, Chad, who did all the main characters. We were talking about that it would be amazing to update, to evolve the costumes so that everyone can see. Just because it starts out this way doesn't mean that that's one way. We
Yeah.
would like to have everyone to feel encouraged and inspired based on reading the book, however they imagine these characters, right? To go for it and either create a costume from scratch, or put it together in other ways. Whatever they're doing, the fact that they would feel encouraged and inspired to participate, that
Mhm.
that would mean a world to me. And I don't know if you noticed, Ivy had a new outfit at the booth.
No. Okay, now I need to take a look at pictures again. I did not.
She had a very nice new outfit, and that's the fun part is, right, in real life we don't just wear one outfit, and as these characters grow and have their character arc, it's so fantastic to be able to show it visually, that their costume changes of how they are embracing who they are, and
Mhm.
you get to see it in real time.
Awesome. And, you like to bring your characters to life. So we talked, right, a little bit about cosplay, bringing your characters to life. There's a new project that you're working on. I don't know if we can already talk about that, but I saw on Instagram that you were looking for pitches for an animation
That's
for your series. Tell us about that, please.
Josephine, that's such a great, again, very amazing opportunity. We're working with Tongo, this amazing company who gets this collection of fans and encourage them to participate in pitches. And we did a competition. So there were 3 pitches, and it was amazing to see what the audience took away from. There was a brief and write up and a little bit of world building, and it was so fun to see how these amazing writers, what they imagined and where their imagination took them.
Mhm.
And now we're in the process of working with an animation studio on a 5 minute short. Might be longer. I don't think it's going to be shorter. That would be a magic if we could make it shorter. And it's going to be an origin story in more ways than just one. I cannot tell you more, but there will be teasers coming your way, both in the newsletter and on social media, of course.
Ooh. Well, then, I added the Instagram part. Let me also add, if I find it real quick, your website as well, so people can sign up for your newsletter.
Oh, thank you so much, Josephine.
And, the link is already in the description down below. For those who are not in the live event, the link is in the description down below, but her website is also now in the chat, and if you give it 2 seconds, there's a pop-up coming up that lets you sign into the newsletter, so you see immediately what's happening. What is the timeline on that? Are we allowed to know by when we get teasers, by when the actual short will be out?
I don't remember the exact dates. Again, we're back into the numbers territory,
Oh,
which
gotcha.
outside of names, that's my second Achilles weakness. I believe around San Diego Comic-Con there will be a teaser, and then maybe late spring, excuse me, fall. I wish late fall there will be another teaser, and we're aiming around October, November. We'll see. We want to make sure that this gets all the work it needs. It's been an amazing process to work with such talented creatives, and I can't wait to share all the experiences and the behind the scenes,
Yay.
because this is something I couldn't have even imagined how much fun it is to collaborate with such talented and skilled and amazing artists. My goodness.
And they're even more amazing artists. I mean, you have it all. You thought about everything, and you picked a lot of good people because you have audiobooks for the first 4 novels, I believe, right? I Is
Correct.
there an audiobook for novel 5 is not out yet,
I
correct?
believe the fifth audiobook is either coming or it's already out.
Okay.
It should be out. So I do my best to have all formats covered when it comes to the books, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. I've heard a lot of my readers, they prefer the audiobook because they
Mhm.
can listen to it as they're driving to work or picking up their kids from school. So it's been a help for
Yeah.
them not to have to hold a physical book.
While driving, not a good idea.
No,
Yes, I get it.
could be
And
dangerous.
yes, and the audiobook is fantastic too. So I've actually listened to Proud Pada and Meddling Mages in an audiobook.
Ooh.
And it's fantastic. Emily is the narrator's name, I believe, right?
That's correct. She does such a great job with the characters, and she knows that how to pronounce the names. She's just so amazing. I'm so glad that she's working with us, and can't wait for her to read the sixth book.
Yes. And then lastly, you wrote novels, they have audiobooks, they get an animation series, and you published a comic in the same universe as well.
That's correct. The Mythical Hunters, and thank you for showing, Josephine. That was an amazing project we did for last. Oh my gosh,
It
isn't
is
it gorgeous?
so, I don't want to spoil anything, but I just want to show it a little bit. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you. It's been such fun to my first attempt to see if I can get a short story that's written translated into a visual medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with Mariano Niciza, who has been the editor and mentor on this amazing project. And I learned so much from him of how to tell a story visually first, and then, not just the illustrations, but the panels, the order of the panels, the
Yeah.
number of the panels, and then you add the balloons, the dialogue, and then teeny tiny bit of caption, because you really want the first storytelling route is to be the images, the illustrations. And he brought this amazing team with Walter, who did the pencils, Jessica, who did the inks. I blanking on the name of the colorist and the balloon person. It's all on the first page. Thank you, the cover page.
Color art Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Color art Kenny. Letterer George.
Mm-hmm.
Mythical Hunters logo design Wilson. So I'm holding it. So
Thank you.
there.
They get the credit, because I like to give credit where credit is due. This is my brain, how it works. I can barely remember my own characters at times. That's why I have hundreds and hundreds of pages of notes. And it's been it was a great process. I'm working on the sequel. I'm planning to have at least 176 issues. Knock on wood. I just have to
Oh my goodness.
somehow increase the pace of writing, because it should be once a month, but definitely going to work ahead and see what we can do. And Josephine, these are only 3 ideas that you are seeing from the Seven Galaxies universe that we're putting into mediums and showing it to the audience. But there is at least 40 more that I'm waiting to tell, that could be anywhere from comic books to tabletop RPG games, video games, app games, TV shows, movies, book series, graphic novels. Am I missing anything?
No, I mean, you have to license it out then at one point, right? And make T-shirts,
That's the plan.
mugs. What else can you
Oh,
usually buy?
everything. I love swag. I'm collecting my own swag. You can see the posters behind me. I
Yeah.
have my character cards, that you can get these gorgeous, gorgeous character cards. I don't know if you can see them. I feel like some of them are upside down. Let me just, because I noticed see, these are gorgeous character cards
Yes.
that we have. I love spoiling my readers and fans who stop by, and this is the horse that we were talking about.
Yes.
Collect my own swag. So we have pins. Working on the t-shirts. This is the fun part, where you get to geek out on the story. You get to be a collector. You get to share this connection, instant connection.
Yeah.
Anyone who stops by, because being a sci-fi fantasy fan, there's just something magical about it, and you connect on the TV shows, the movies, and everyone has a story why it's special. Of course, there are other genres that are special. I'm not just, selecting one. How many times we hear someone talking about their childhood favorite movie that they still remember decades later,
Yeah.
because it's so powerful, and that's just so amazing. That's the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
That connection is powerful.
Yes. So talking about that, I mean, you're quite busy with writing comic books and directing animations and writing novels and everything you do. Do you still have time to read? And if yes, what are some favorite books that you like to read?
I'm always trying to save some time for reading, Josephine. It's getting harder. I have a whole stack of books here that's all about how to write a comic book, how to write animation, how to write just anything that can help me become a better storyteller. So those are one. I'm also catching up on all the comic books that I missed out on, because when I grew up during the second half of Soviet oppression, not everything made it into the country, and if they did, like movies, they only premiered once, maybe twice in the theater, and if you missed it, that was it. There was no other option for us to rewatch it. And that was the one, if I may share this story, that was
Please.
the start of my dad's rebellion against this. And he decided to smuggle these movies in: Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, RoboCop. I mean, such a wide range, because he wanted to share these with his family. So he smuggled them in. He never sold them, and he translated from English to Hungarian. Then he used his own voice and a headphone and a microphone, and he watched these
Wow.
movies. Took almost a whole 5, 6 days just to get them done.
No kidding.
It was very precise. And then we had Saturday and Sunday secret movie nights, and that's how I watched the Star Wars trilogy. 4, 5,
Yeah.
and 6, the Indiana Jones movies, the Back to the Future movies, Guineas,
Yes.
Fire and Ice, The Secret of Nim, the Disney classics,
Wow.
anything and everything he could get his hands on. And I think, not just think, I believe, Josephine, because of this, he helped to shape my imagination and my creativity, opening it up to such worlds
Yeah.
that we were not allowed to be exposed, because literally the outside world was just gray, because there was cultural oppression, not just a very oppressive time, but we didn't have a culture of freedom.
Yeah.
To have this freedom in our own home was an amazing experience that allowed me to become the writer I am today.
And I'm hearing a little bit talking about rebellious father. There might be some inspiration there, I believe, for tiny bit. Yeah, that is something I don't know if we talked about this before. That is something partially that we have in common. So was born in East Germany,
Mhm.
also at a time where it was still Soviet owned. So East Germany back then, behind the wall and all that stuff. So I know exactly what you're talking about with not having access to media, to music, even certain food items. So back in Germany, we always had that joke that because we didn't get bananas as an example, that
Yeah.
you peel a cucumber like a banana and that's your alternative then, right? So I'm glad that you were able to take such a positive result out of that, because I know it was a hard time. I know it was not an easy life back then. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that. Yeah, you took that as inspiration for your world, for your characters, for yourself, and came out like this,
Thank,
growing like this.
thank you, Josephine. And I think maybe that is the other reason why bringing joy to this world is so important to me personally, as a human being, as an artist, a writer. It's because I've seen the opposite. I grew up in the opposite. Again, I don't want to go too political. That's not why we're here. But there is something about bringing joy to this world and leaving this world a better place.
Yeah.
It's of an amazing opportunity, and I'm grateful that I have a chance to do this, and it's a legacy that I'm happy to leave behind. Hopefully not in a long time.
Yes, please,
Knock on
please.
wood.
You
Knock
have
on
a
wood.
lot of books to write, so please.
Yeah, a lot. Just 27 if I count, or 26 if I count just the Last Lumenian series. And we haven't touched on all the other amazing origin stories that I'm dying to write. It's gonna be so fun. But I have to focus. Finish the 13 books before you go after another shiny.
Do you have people that help you stay focused and that pull you back if you go on a, oh, squirrel, let me talk about this character for now? Do you have people that pull you back then?
Josephine, it wasn't a problem in the early days. It's a problem now. So it's my husband. I God bless him. I love him to death. He has the hard job to telling me to focus on that. And the other shiny is the business side. It's I'm a small business and I'm operating my company with others who help to bring this franchise to the audience.
Mhm.
So shifting from business to creative sometimes can be jarring. So I
Yes.
learned to separate when I'm working and I'm doing more business meetings, then I probably not going to do creative writing. I'm going to focus more on supporting the creative writing, maybe do world building or do reading of how-to books. And on the days when I'm working and I'm writing, I try to keep that creativity and that momentum going by
Yeah.
focusing on the creative and no business meetings. I got to a point, Josephine, that I have one day, Tuesdays, where I get
Okay.
to do that, and then Saturday and Sunday. The rest is filled with business and other commitments,
The joys of owning a business. Yes.
right? Life is good. If this is my biggest problem, life is good.
Very true. All right. So we talked about your books. We talked about your comic book, your audiobooks, your animation series. We hinted at some future plans.
Mhm.
We talked about your cosplay experience in your booth. What did we not? Is there anything that we did not talk about yet?
I feel like we touched down on a lot of topics. I always like to encourage aspiring writers whenever I have a chance in any conversation, is to tell them to believe in themselves, be kind to themselves, and to follow their dream. One of the most interesting aspect of being an artist, and you don't have to be a writer, you could be any other artist, is there is always this phase that's between the knowing and the not knowing, a finished product and the work in progress. And that middle part is quite scary. It can be very frustrating and challenging, because that's the part when you learn who you are, you learn how to express your art. And often this is that challenging phase where people give up because they have expectations that they put on themselves that they're not living up to. So I always encourage everyone is to be kind to yourself, to give yourself the time. Just because you think it's going to take 2 years, I literally thought I'm going to be done in 2 years, took 7 years. It doesn't mean that you're not doing the right thing, that you're not on your journey and you're not progressing. And the way you keep that positive momentum is by celebrating your achievements. Even if your achievement is you finish that first manuscript, you read a how-to book, you go to a conference. These are all mini milestones that are important part and aspect of your journey.
Oh, I love this. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that is amazing. On that note, if you want to check out SG's amazing books, The Last Lumenian Saga, down in the description box, I have the link to your website. I have the link to the book itself. It's available in all the typical online stores, on your own website, on bookshop.org, and then, all the ones that we know. And then if you have a chance, subscribe to her newsletter so you know when she's on which con she is next, because that's something I highly recommend. If you have a chance to see her booth, to see all that in action and live, do it. It's such an amazing experience, such a unique experience. Yeah,
Thank you, Joseph.
SG, thank you so much for joining me, for taking the time out of your definitely busy day to talk with us about your books and your universe. I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And for everybody watching, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for the chats live. If you have any further questions, put them down in the comments below, and we'll get them answered. And again, follow SG. Follow her everywhere. She's amazing.
Oh,
She's such a kind person. She
thank you.
created an amazing story.
Thank you so much, Josephine. I'm so grateful for you. And thank you very kindly for doing this. This is what means to us writers, to us artists, such a huge deal to have the ability to discuss our books, to talk about our journey. Thank you very kindly for having me.
Thank you so much. Everyone, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with the next video. Bye.